Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you, and super pleased, honored, happy to have in the studio with me Robert Kennedy Jr., Chief Prosecuting Attorney for the Hudson Riverkeeper, President of the Waterkeeper Alliance, author of several books, most recently Framed, Why Michael Skakel Spent Over a Decade in Prison for a Murder He Didn't Commit. Website, robertfkennedyjr.com, and you can tweet him at Robert Kennedy Jr. Robert Kennedy, Bobby, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Tom.
Great having you with us. So you're in the middle of a major action against Monsanto. Tell us about this.
I'm part of a group of private attorneys who are representing around 3,000 plaintiffs in a lawsuit against Monsanto for RoundUp and Glyphosate, particularly. Which,
Glyphosate is the chemical name of RoundUp, right?
It's the active ingredient of RoundUp.
Right.
As it turns out, interestingly, what we've learned from the litigation is that although glyphosate causes cancer, it's not the most toxic part of the formulation. In fact, there are these class of chemicals called taloaldehydes, which are adjuvants or surfactants that are part of the glyphosate formula that are 10,000 times more toxic than glyphosate, and they appear to have a synergistic effect with glyphosate. So that what they do is they're designed to make it easier for glyphosate to penetrate the plant, but they also make glyphosate readily penetrate the human body when skin comes in contact with it.
Yikes.
It becomes very, very toxic. And one of the interesting developments in this lawsuit that's getting a lot of news right now is that we've been able to uncover during discovery documents that Monsanto fought like hell to try to make sure we're not unsealed. But Judge Chambria, in our federal case in San Francisco, unsealed them last week. And what they show is a collusive arrangement between Monsanto and the heads of the pesticide division at EPA, who are collaborating with Monsanto to conceal from the public all of the science that showed that Monsanto was causing cancer and other injuries to people. So this has now come out. The European Health Agency has now proposed a complete ban on glyphosate because they now know that all the science has been fixed for all of these years. And there are Congressman Liu has advised all Americans to stop using glyphosate until we know that it's safe, which it isn't. This came about because the International Agency on Cancer Research, which is the biggest cancer research agency in the world and the most important, is the gold standard of cancer research. It's funded by the U.S. and 16 other nations to do state-of-the-art cancer research on all this sea of toxic chemicals that we're now swimming around in. And what they found is that glyphosate is a animal carcinogen. It's a probable human carcinogen, and particularly it's associated with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So almost all 3,000 of our clients are people who are mainly home gardeners and a lot of farmers and farm workers who handled glyphosate for years. They were told by Monsanto that it's safe as table salt. That was the mantra. But it turns out that it causes cancer, and particularly non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. One of the first client to approach us was a family of Tom and Terry McCall. Tom McCall was a Vietnam vet. When he was in Vietnam, he decided that he wanted to live a healthy life and a clean and moral life. He came back from Vietnam and made sure that he lived a chemical-free existence. He started an organic farm up in Northern California. The one chemical pesticide that he used on his farm was glyphosate because he believed what Monsanto was saying, that it was safe as table salt. He came down with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. A year before he came down with it, his dog, who always accompanied him and went with him when he sprayed the weeds, came down to the Labrador Retriever, got the classic neck tumors, and then came down and died of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Thom was diagnosed with it less than a year later, and then passed away.
Oh my!
So, but there are thousands of people like that across the country now who, and there are, our firm, Kennedy, Madonna, and Headland Baum, are representing 300 clients of the 3,000 that are involved in our coalition.
Remarkable. So, is there anything that people who are listening or watching can do to support your efforts, or is this, we just need people to know about this and be wary of these products, or what is there a call for action here?
Well, people should be careful about using glyphosate. One of the things is that we're trying to do now is we've gotten about 1 million documents from Monsanto. Mm-hmm. In recent weeks, we've uncovered a number of documents that really ought to be released to the public, including the depositions that we've taken of the Monsanto executives. So the judge, at this point, Judge Chambria, is making a decision about whether or not to unseal those documents. And, the public has a right to know these things, and the public ought to be demanding that they've been lied to, not only by Monsanto, but by the agency that was captured by Monsanto, by the pesticide branch at EPA for 20 years.
Wow.
And the public now ought to know that, all of the dangers and all of the history of collaboration and collusion and corruption between Monsanto and our public health agency.
Right. Is there any of this information that you can reveal?
One of the things that's happening, the Attorney General in Texas 2 years ago brought a case against Monsanto because they found they were finding a tremendous amount of glyphosate in breakfast cereals that are given to children. So as a part of the settlement of that case, the USDA, the Department of Agriculture, agreed to do a study of how much glyphosate, how much RoundUp is actually in the breakfast cereals that we're giving to children, how dangerous it is. And this week, under the new administration, the Department of Agriculture announced that it's going to kill that study. So it doesn't want the American people
to
know that its breakfast cereal is loaded with toxic chemicals.
I understand that 15, 20 years ago, some time in the very relatively recent past, that harvesting wheat is relatively inefficient because if the heads of wheat are green and the stalks are green, the combine, when it comes through to pick them up, or whatever the machine is called, sometimes it just kind of gums up, and there's about 10-15% loss of the wheat that doesn't get harvested as a result of that. So they started spraying the wheat fields with glyphosate, with RoundUp.
As a desiccant.
That's right. 3 or 4 days before the harvest, which would turn all the stalks brown and brittle, so that the wheat heads just pop right off. But now they're contaminated with glyphosate. And that seems to have happened right around the time I developed celiac disease in 2001. And I can't eat wheat.
Well, there's an epidemic of celiac disease.
I know, and I'm wondering if there's a correlation between this epidemic of celiac.
There's a lot of science that indicates that there is a correlation between that. What actually may be making people allergic to wheat is the load of glyphosate on them. But the science is not. It's not there. It's just suggestive.
Right.
But it's something that ought to be investigated, and it certainly ought to be investigated by the EPA and the USDA, and they've just announced they're not going to do that.
Wow. So, and we said what? Oh, yeah, that's okay. And so, what can we do to get this stuff investigated? Is there anything? I mean, other than electing Democrats, I'm guessing.
I think that's
vote the bums out. I mean,
one of the things about the EPA is that we sued EPA, probably 10 years ago on another pesticide, atrazine.
Right.
The pesticide branch at EPA is the poster child for agency capture phenomena. This is an agency. That branch has become, has been captured by the industry that is supposed to regulate. It's become kind of a sock puppet for the pesticide industry. So atrazine is the product of a company called Syngenta, which is the second biggest pesticide company in the world, Monsanto being the largest. And atrazine, EPA had information that atrazine was a potent endocrine disruptor, that even at very, very low concentrations, the kind you'd find in almost any farm pond,
Right.
that it was changing the sex of fish and other animals who were exposed
Isn't
to it.
atrazine the one they use on apples?
Yeah. And it's used, atrazine was used on everything. It was a weed killer. So EPA sat on that and hid that from the public for 10 years, the same pesticide branch.
Wow.
And now, you've got Monsanto, which is now the largest pesticide company in the world, that had the same kind of relationship.
Is that EPA employees are hoping when they grow up they can get a job with these big pesticide companies for big bucks?
It's really, if you read the emails, it's shocking. There's the head of the pesticide branch was a guy called Jess Rowland. And Jess Rowland says at one point, the Monsanto emails are saying to each other, Jess Rowland told us that he's going to kill the investigation of RoundUp that is being done by HHS, and that he said that if he succeeds in killing it, we ought to give him a medal.
Wow. Robert Kennedy Jr. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. .com is the website.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit ThomHartmann.com for audio and video archives.
And you can tweet Bobby at Robert Kennedy Jr. Bobby, thank you so much for being with me.
Thanks for having me, Tom.
It's great talking. We'll be back.